It was a massive pleasure catching up with 20-time Cape Epic rider and people's champion, John Gale. It's a wide-ranging conversation, including topics like why Cape Epic newbies don't actually exist anymore, how the race has changed over the last 20 years, his recent move to a modern XC bike, nutrition, black cats, and so much more. And before we get into it, here's a massive thank you to Shram for making this video possible. And John would like to offer special thanks to Scott and Cranked Cycles, who are supporting him with a new bike. John Gale, thanks for chatting to me. Are you the people's champion of the Cape Epic?
Miles, good to see you again. No.
I think you are.
Well, that's very kind of you to say so. It's a strange thing to be in the middle of the field, and by chance, having survived so many of these, there's an element of fame, but it's not the hero of the people or the champion of anything. It's just chance.
Okay, my opinion differs on that, but we'll circle back to that in a bit. So it's now mid-February. You're lining up for your 21st Cape Epic next month.
21st, 3.5 weeks.
So you've done every Cape Epic?
Yes, as it turns out.
How did that happen? So your first Cape Epic, did you think you would be lining up for your 21st Cape Epic? Was that the plan?
It happened absolutely by chance. A mate of mine, Jakes Jacobson, who sort of got me into cycling, phoned me up. He said, I think we should, have you heard of this? I said, never heard of it. He said, I think we should do it. And so we did it. You know, we had no idea. And did I think I'd be doing more of them? I didn't even think I'd be doing the first one. There was no plan at all. In fact, the second year, I didn't get an entry at all. The entries took months to sell out. I don't think they ever sold out in the first year. And they were gone in 3 weeks or so in the second year. And it was just by chance that 2 weeks before the race, I bumped into an old guy I'd been at school with. And he said he was having to pull out, and would I like the entry?
It's incredible. I remember Jakes raced downhill with us years
yes.
back. Yeah. So what is it about the Cape Epic that keeps you coming back?
Well, it's a unique event in many ways. And first of all, the route is always incredible. That it takes you places that you simply can't get by yourself, and that is very, very special. The other thing is that it is a huge achievement. You never know until you get to the end of an epic whether you're going to be able to finish it, because it is so big and so hard, and every day is literally twice what you would regard as a big ride. It's a big challenge in that way, and it is also a logistical exercise which is quite humbling to be part of. So many moving parts, so well organized, absolutely world-class experience, and unlike anything else that you will ever do or experience.
So it's the adventure side of it, as well as the sheer enjoyment of the outdoors, that keeps you coming back. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't argue with that.
The excitement of something different. The route's different every year.
Yeah, it's become, it's more nuanced than that. Obviously and absolutely, it's the route, the excitement, the challenge. They say runners say you're only as good as your last marathon, and that is also part of why you run another marathon, is to see if you can still do it.
Okay.
But when I had small children, it was just much easier than being here. So there were push factors as well, and pull factors. I mean, it is also an opportunity to spend. And I've been very fortunate with my partners to have men that I really do want to spend time with, and it's been a tremendous opportunity to spend time with them in a
Tremendous
unique,
bonding experience out there.
in a unique setting where you are alone and you have nothing else to worry about. Because while you're on the epic, you aren't worried about other things.
You're not worried about the pool, the hedges, or
Nobody,
the dishes.
no, none of that. It ceases to exist.
Good.
I'm sure the pros have got more time to worry about stuff, but where I am, there's no time to worry about that stuff.
So speaking to the toughness, what is the toughest experience? What is the most brutal experience that either you've experienced or you've witnessed play out at any of the Cape Epics you've done? Any of the Cape Epics?
It's always hard. And the first year when Jake and I did it, we really had no idea. We'd ridden. I was 2 oceans fit, and I thought, how bad can it be? And we'd ridden to hell and back, which was 2 60-kilometer days. It was the biggest. No, there was Rhodes mountain bike race, which was 80 k's in one day, and there was to hell and back, which was 2 60 k's days. And we thought that was, that would be sort of it. And I think we got to about 80 k's on day one, and there were police manning a checkpoint that sent us off on another detour. And we got back, and we could just hear, we were riding Knysna to Sarsveld, and we got back, and we could actually hear the finish line. And there was an army contingent to send us back up another 15-kilometer four-wheel drive trail. And I said to Jakes, because if they hadn't been armed, would we actually have done another 15 k's?
Okay.
And it's always like that.
Yeah.
And it's the balance. It's a mix. How hot it is, how thirsty you are. If your partner's just a little bit stronger than you, then you're suffering a little bit the whole way. And it's the mix of how these things interact that make it hard.
Okay.
And it is hard. It's hard before any of that.
So that particular day, you added 15 k's to your stage. Is that right?
No. The stage we rode exactly the route.
Okay.
It was just, in terms of, it's so much harder than you expect and bigger and longer.
Yeah.
And that to me summarizes that, at the point at which you're way past where you should have stopped, there are police to make you do an extra bit. And then when you finish that, the army is there to send you off on another loop.
That sounds insane. Tell us about nutrition. In your words, what works for you? Everyone's different. Everyone has their own secrets. In the epic, morning meal, and then on the bike, what are the tricks that work for you?
I eat what they provide in the tent. I eat what I find along the route, and I drink water.
Okay.
And that works. I did find over time that carbohydrate type drinks, eventually you feel sick.
Okay.
And anything, in fact, except, the closer you are to real food, the better it is over these endurance events.
I was in the speed company tent a few years back, and straight off the stage they just went for white bread and cheese just to settle the stomach, and that was one of their tricks. So you just stick with whatever's provided and keep it as natural as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
It also makes things a lot simpler.
Okay. Yes. Is there a common mistake you see newbies making at the Cape Epic?
When we started this, we were newbies.
Yes.
There are no more newbies.
Okay.
Nobody arrives at the Epic without knowing everything there is to know. They don't get us. Nobody who's starting this year will get a surprise.
Okay.
Because they've read it all, they've watched the YouTube videos, they've done the training programs.
There is so much more content now about mountain biking in general compared to 21 years ago. So the secrets are out.
There's more available, and we live in an age where information is more disseminated, and it's more normal and expected that you'd research something.
Okay.
You said the word adventure earlier, and the early days, half the guys, I mean, a lot of the guys, they were pros,
Yes.
but there were lots of adventurers. There were lots of guys who just thought it sounded like a hell of a
draw.
thing, and they'd do it. They'd try it. And, you know, we had no idea, you know.
Okay.
And that attitude isn't there anymore. The people who pitch up now, they're not adventurers, they're technicians.
Okay.
We've all become technicians.
Super analytical.
We know too much.
What's the most heroic act you've witnessed at the Cape Epic? Yourself, someone else, a marshal? Like, is there one that stands out?
There are many examples. I do remember on a desperately hot day approaching Hermanus that Craig Beach, who was quite close to the cutoff at the time, probably 20 minutes ahead, if I'm guessing, and he stopped to help a guy, and the route had taken us over a saddle, which was too steep for the mountain bikes and medics to cross. So they were at the start and at the bottom on the finish. And halfway up, Craig came across a guy whose partner had abandoned him, and the heat was intense. In fact, it was the day before they shortened the stage, and he stopped to help the guy, gave him some shade, cooled him down, gave him water, and in doing so actually missed the cutoff. And then later on, they said, okay, we'll give you a concession and reinstate you as a finisher, which they absolutely should have done. But it's no easy thing to abandon your own teammate or to stop your own teammate to help somebody else's teammate who's been abandoned.
Okay.
It's a big thing.
It is a big thing.
And it's the right thing.
Kudos
it's
to the event for understanding what transpired out there.
Kudos to the event. Kudos to Craig Beach.
Yes, of
That's,
course. He's the hero.
He's the hero. Yes.
That's a lovely story, that. Zooming out from the epic a little bit, let's talk about your bike. I take it this is what you're riding this year?
It sure is. It sure is. It's the
Spark?
new Scott, the newest, shiniest. Okay, it's not quite as shiny as it was yesterday. Only got it yesterday, day before yesterday.
And you've done all of 3 hours on it?
It's done 3 hours and they've been magical.
What is it about? So your previous bike was 10 or 11 years old, right?
Well, at 12 years old, I've done 11 epics on my previous Scott RC.
Phenomenal. There's a lot of changes that have happened in this particular genre of bikes in the last 10 years. I'm not going to get into those changes, but what does it feel like jumping onto a bike, off of a bike that's 10, 11, 12 years old, onto something like this?
I would not have believed the change, the difference. You know, there was a big shift from 26 to 29. You know, even 3 to 2, 2 to 1. Those were small changes.
Yeah.
This is a huge change. It's everything about it, the geometry, the travel, the way it grips the road. It is a quantum leap forward in technology, and so that's what it feels like.
This is a Cape Epic winning bike. This is what Nino has ridden before. This is a World Cup winning bike. It is top of the line, including, so it's wireless electronic shifting, but it's also flight attendant. Just tell us a little bit about what flight attendant, how does it feel when you ride it? In your words.
I'm just going to assume that I'm the last guy who's aware of this.
It's only like a year old, the flight attendant.
Okay, well,
so it's not everyone's tasted
not
it. People are curious.
But it does seem that most people, well, anyway, it is a tremendous change.
It's nuts, eh?
On my old thing, I have got a lockout on the front shock. I ride the backs. On the fork, I've got a lockout. The shock, I ride fairly stiff, so I never have to fiddle with it. Okay. And you know the way we've done for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's what this is doing is second by second turning or shifting between full lockout, half lockout, and completely open.
Okay.
And it's solved the problem of how to prevent bob at the
Yes.
back of the bike,
Yes.
and it's giving you like suspension travel that's unimaginable, and at the same time it's an utterly rigid climber.
Okay.
So it's and it's doing it constantly and instantly.
Is it relaxing knowing that something is thinking for you about should I lock out or should I leave it open? Is it nice? Like when you're climbing and you're like, I wonder if I should lock it out now, should I leave it open? But it's thinking for
I
itself.
don't think I locked the bike out once last year's Epic.
Okay.
It's just there's a bit of flex. The Epic is rough anyway.
Yes. Sure.
And it's you're always turning it on, turning it off, and then you forget to turn it off, and it nearly kills you.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I mean, I know you can see the lights flashing and hear it chirping away at you, but
Yeah.
in a sense, you're utterly unaware that it's happening. I mean, you're aware that it has happened,
Yeah.
because it really does happen that quickly.
Okay.
And it is incredible. It's the handling, the grip.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that's the geometry on this is actually perfect. The weighting on the wheels is just spot on.
Do you feel more stable?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
it's 10 years of design separates it from the old bike.
In a sport that's relatively young, also,
Yes.
35 years old.
Yeah. So the first
10 years is
First 29ers, Jake said to me, no, that it's not ready. Don't buy a 29er. Take another 26 because it's not ready. And then the Scot, he said, okay, and that was a couple of years later. He said, all right, you can take a 29er now because they've got through the bleeding
Yes.
edge. We've
Yes.
got past that. And now we've moved a whole heap further.
And the refinement has just escalated the ride quality of the final product.
the cleverness of the fork angle, we've been experimenting with longer, faster handling bikes, slower handling bikes, but there's a mix here which is just magical. I normally takes me months and months to get the feel of a new bike. Where it's weak and strong. Well, no, what its characteristics are, and this is actually. It actually just feels better than anything I've ever ridden from day one.
Okay, unreal.
It is so much more than I had thought it would be.
That's incredible. I mean, I bang on about it. I get super excited about it all the time, and I sometimes think that I need to calm myself down because people won't believe me. But even in 5 years, the changes are immense in endurance mountain bike technology, geometry. So a jump in 12 years of technology must be pretty special for you. Are you excited to race it at the Epic?
Oh, it's been very difficult to take a day off today.
I won't keep you much longer. I know you're heading out to Cedarburg to ride it today, so I won't keep you much longer. What is you live here on the southern suburbs, Newlands in Cape Town. What is your all-time favorite riding destination and why?
We've got so many to choose from. Just off the top of my head, we spent so much time at Eerstelfontein. It would be hard not to say that is possibly the best mountain biking anywhere ever. So many different varieties, and I say that as someone who rides a lot in Takai, a lot in Tygerberg, a lot on Table Mountain, but Eerstelfontein's always special.
Okay.
And it's over the years it really worked for me because it can soak up young children for days and days and days, in fact infinitely, with its broader amenities than just cycling, broader attractions.
What would you say excites you or inspires you outside of the world of mountain biking? Swimming, athletics. What inspires you?
I think it's important to have a variety of interests, and clearly I'm not cycling for the prize money, so it's important to have people that challenge you that you work with. It's important to have family that supports and challenges you, and friends as well. So that is a sharp claw, sorry.
Hello, Kitty. Wants to be in on the action.
In on the action, yeah. So, pets as well, obviously.
So would you say a balanced life outside of mountain biking inspires you to dig deeper when you are mountain biking?
Well, I think one thing that children taught me was that when you're in it, you've got to give it your full attention.
Okay.
So, the cat's a good example. When it demands attention, it demands attention.
What's the cat's name?
This one is called Black Cat.
Black Cat. Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's yeah. I didn't really answer that question. So I'm a keen hiker. It's where I
Okay.
came from, was running and hiking.
Okay.
Injuries gradually reduced the running. I've always loved national parks, nature reserves. Keen photographer.
Okay.
Very fortunate to have a wife who supports, helps me grow, challenges me,
Very important.
demands.
How do you keep your 2 more questions? How do you keep your form through winter? And knit it, let's knit in there your age, so people understand your age. And so how do you keep your form in winter? And have you changed the way you condition yourself because you're not because you're not in your 20s anymore? Ooh, sorry, kitty. So what do you do in winter to keep in shape? Yoga? Do you walk?
No, I pretty much just ride.
Do you ride indoors?
No,
Okay.
no indoor. I ride for the fun of it.
Nice.
So I ride and I hike, and
Okay.
if you've been very fortunate to have children who've made it quite clear that if I ever slow down, they'll just kill me and eat me. So that's the motivation to try and keep ahead of them.
Okay, that's a good
And,
motivation.
And yeah, it's.
Do you take more off days now when you are training or when you're riding for fun? Do you take more off days to recover?
The epic does focus you completely, and the epic focuses you, and how fit your partner, how strong your partner is, focuses you.
Yes.
So those, if you think your partner's a bit slack, maybe feel a bit more relaxed yourself, and if you feel your partner is strong, then you're a bit more focused on riding.
On your prep. Okay.
But yeah, this has largely, become a way of life, really. And
then it just feels normal.
Beth people used to ask Beth how she feels about, me running and cycling, and she said, well, it's like a bear with a sore tooth if you hadn't sent him out for his run. So, that's part of it. In fact, everyone I know is active, and it is just part of what we do and how we do it.
Okay.
So, in the run up to the epic, there's a much greater focus. Obviously, when it's raining and cold, one's inclined to do something less wet and cold.
Yeah.
Sure. Riding's hard to start in the rain.
Yes, for sure. Especially here, one of the wettest suburbs in the country. Okay. I always like to wrap up with a little bit of a different question. If you had all the money in the world available to you, but you had to spend a huge portion of it solving one of the world's problems, what would it be and why?
Whew. Now that's a difficult question.
We're going deep to end off.
I think we are facing an extinction level threat in climate change, and as a species we're not really doing all that well in dealing with it. And if with unlimited resources, it would be possible to make the kind of systemic changes to our systems of society that would be needed in order to to do that, and he probably needed to have started 50 years ago. So we probably need included in that list of resources, of unlimited resources, 50 years more time. But
great answer. Love it. Completely agree.
yeah,
John Gale, good luck for your 21st Cape Epic. I will be following, as I'm sure everyone will be following. If anyone's got any questions for John, you can drop it in the comments below or send us an email and we'll forward it to John. And have fun out there.
Miles, thanks.
Thank you so much.